Hi guys, this video is a little different from what I normally do. In this video I'll take some of the questions from you guys that you have placed in the comments across all the videos. So let's start with a question from Natalie Lewis. She's asking, please tell me exactly what theme and plugins I need to install on my site. So for all my websites I'm using Astra right now. I've mentioned that a couple of times here on the channel. I used to use X theme and I've been over a ton of different themes. But I really like the Astra theme because it's super light and it's free, it doesn't cost me anything. And the first thing I do after I've installed Astra is to get the Elementor plugin on the site. Because that enables me to custom design the website exactly like I want it to. And I can do a template for all the blog posts, all the pages, and I can design the website and the header and the footer exactly like I want it. I'm also using the Elementor Pro plugin because when I pay for Elementor, I get some nice features with it as well that I'm using across all my sites. I did a video about the 3 most basic plugins that I have on all sites, but I also just pulled a list of the plugins that I'm using on my latest site. I started my latest website around 1 or 2 months ago, I think. It's probably sitting at around 30 articles right now. So I have a list here of the plugins I'm using on that one. And the first one is the Classic Editor. I'm not writing the content for the site, and some of my writers prefer to work with the classic WordPress editor. So there's also this Gutenberg thing, you know, either you love it or you hate it. Personally, I haven't taken the time to get familiar with Gutenberg yet, because as I mentioned, I'm not really writing a lot of content anymore. But I have this classic editor for my writers so they can use it. And then I have a plugin that's called Disable Comments. It's pretty basic. All it does is exactly what it's called. It's just disabling comments across the whole site. So this is also a controversial topic. Should you have comments or not on your blog? I'm not having comments on any of my sites anymore because I haven't seen it to affect rankings in any way. And also, if I were to answer comments across 500,000 page views, you know, I couldn't do anything else. And I don't want to sort through all the spam. And I also don't want it to take up any time from my editor to do so. And then I'm using the Ezoic integration plugin on this website, and that's because it's a pretty new website, so I haven't started using Ezoic ads yet. I'm only using this plugin to be able to work with Ezoic's speed tool. But eventually, when I'll have enough traffic to start showing ads on the site, I'll change the integration with Ezoic to the name server integration, and then I'll be deleting this plugin. Then I have a head and footer plugin. I do that to put in the analytics code on the site, and sometimes for some odd reason Google will not automatically verify your site in Google Search Console even though you have the analytics code in your site. It works 9 out of 10 times I'd say, but sometimes it just doesn't. And then I also need to be able to put that little verification snippet from Google Search Console in the header area. So then I'm also using the plugin called Real Simple SSL. So I tell Bluehost to do this for me, and remember to always ask your hosting provider to set up your site properly with HTTPS. So 2 things to think about. Make sure that the HTTP version is permanently redirecting to the HTTPS, and when you're at it, also remember to redirect the non-www version to the www version. You need to decide if you want those 3 W's in the URL or not. And then just ask the hosting provider to permanently redirect it so it works all the time, no matter where people are clicking. And the last plugin I have for this new website is WordFence. It's a security plugin that will help you secure the gates to your website so nobody can get in except for you and your writers and anybody who needs to get in. So the next question is from Kevin. Does time duration a user spends on a website affect earnings? That's a great question, and it absolutely does. Many people think you will only make money with ads when people are clicking on the ads, but that's actually not the case. We don't necessarily need people to click on the ads because then they'll be leaving your site, right? So the ad networks know this, and they're also working with the brands to make them understand that the branding value comes from people being exposed to the banner for a certain amount of seconds. So I believe I think it's 13 or 15 seconds a banner needs to be displayed to the user before you make some money. So if a user stays on your site for, let's say, 30 seconds, they will be able to see 2 ads instead of 1. So it definitely affects the earnings, how long time a user is on your site. So there's a couple of ways you can work with this. I try to write long form content that's engaging all the way so people keep reading and keep scrolling. And another thing you need to think about when you enable ads is to not have too many images and videos on your site. Because if you have images for every screen length, you'll not be able to show as many ads. Or if you put in those ads anyway, they will just look spammy because there'll be so many images. So normally I just put a really good image at the top, and then all the other images will just be the banner ads, and that works really well. So unless there's some statistics, some graphs, some visuals you need to show to make the article appear better to the user, I don't put any images except for that first one. The next question here is from Emil Lykkeskov. It's a fellow Dane. Are there any minimum requirements to get accepted on a SOIC? I can't really find anything about that on their website. I believe it's still around 10,000 page views you need to reach in order to get in through the official channels. But I have made an arrangement with my key account manager with the SOIC that I can get you guys in from around 100 organic visitors per day. So when you reach 3,000 page views from organic Google searches in a month, you can send me an email here and I'll send you my affiliate link so you can get into the SOIC. It's a great way to get in, and you'll get to work with my personal key account manager. It's some really great guys. It's 2 persons actually. They are managing all my sites. The next question is from Kevin Daniels. I get traffic from Sri Lanka. Do I get paid the same amount as the RPM? That's also a good question. No, I'm sorry, you won't be earning a lot of money with traffic from Sri Lanka. So the thing is that it's primarily American advertisers, and all those brands, they want to advertise to primarily Americans. But you can also make good traffic with other countries where the economy is strong and where there's a lot of money in online marketing all together. So what I would do if I had a website with traffic in Sri Lanka or any other country where the money in advertising is not as high online, I would probably go hard on affiliate and also try to create my own info product, because I don't think ads will do really well for you. The next question is from Pankaj Rawat. How do you rank your sites and what's your backlink process? So you're in luck because I recently put out a video. If you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. It's about why I'm not link building anymore. I'm not actively spending my time building links to my site. My links are coming organically. So you might be wondering, how do you get those first articles to link? And that's what I'm getting into exactly in that video. So what's that? But I would say that I am using Hero, that's helperreporter.com. I'm using that, and that is giving me some killer links. It's working really well for me. So it's a platform where you can reach out to reporters and journalists and bloggers who are actively looking for a source to quote in an article. I also have a video about how I'm using that service, so take a look at that link up here. The next question is from Call Me XYZ, and he or she says, let me know what kind of niches get high earnings with ads, and also how many words you wrote in that post that gave you $80 per 1,000 page views with ads. Alright, so that's pretty hard to say which niches will do well with advertising. I try out new niches all the time, and I also try to batch my content. That means that I'm writing 10 articles about one topic, 10 articles about another topic, and so on the same website. So, you know, within a niche or within an industry, you can still go into different areas within that topic. But I would say go for something that's interesting to the upper middle class in the States, because that's where the money is. Of course, you could also go for something that's only interesting to the super rich, but then your niche will be too small and you will only have a little bit of traffic on your site. So go for something around the upper middle class. It could be golfing, for example, or anything else, tennis, you know, something that people would have an interest in if they are in the upper middle class. And if you really want to kill it with a super high earning per 1,000 page views, you need to get into something like financial services. It can be credit cards or insurances or loans and stuff like that. I personally stay away from it because I find it really hard to rank for. And if you're going into these niches, you might as well be pushing the affiliate offers because they're killing it in these verticals. But I would definitely not go that route if you're new to this. If you're building out your first or your second or your third website, I would not go into credit cards or insurances or anything financially for 2 reasons. One, it's crowded with clever online marketing people who have big budgets and who are really good at what they do. And 2, Google have recently been hammering down these sites because many of those are not built with a lot of authority. And if you're not an authority yourself, if you don't have the credentials and you can't prove online that you are an authority in your space, you will not stand a chance in those niches. So I wouldn't go for those. But there are other things you can do. Like we talked about a second before, if you can get people to stay longer time on your site, you will earn more money, and you can easily double the money you're earning per 1,000 visitors or per 1,000 page views or whatever people call it, if you are doing a really good job at getting people to stay on your site. The next question is from Adam Silton. What is the first thing you did to get started? Well, I started out with this around 13 years ago, so I can't remember how I got started or even what I was thinking at the time. But what I would do today if I just started today, and my best advice for you guys, is to keep at it with a good writing schedule. Make sure to pump out content every week, at least a couple of articles, and especially in the beginning where you need some momentum on the website. And as soon as you're starting to make some money, outsource writing. Don't stop writing yourself, write everything you can, but hire some external writers to just get even more momentum going. Because we need a ton of traffic, we need a lot of articles in order to make the most money with our sites. As you know, I'm monetizing my sites with ads and affiliate. And then eventually, if I get to that point, I'm going to create an info product when the site gets bigger. But with ads, you just need a lot of content because you can monetize every single article. And then you can eventually start building out that affiliate content when you have the authority and when it's time for you to start ranking for those bigger topics. That's when people have found your content and they're starting to link to your content, and now you're able to rank for the heavier affiliate stuff. The next question is from Eddie. He asks, can I place AdSense units and Ezoic ad units in the same page? Yes, you can do that. So if you have some existing ads or just some other ads that you want to show beside Ezoic ads, you can wrap them with a bit of code, and now the Ezoic system will know that there's an ad here that's served from somewhere else, so they can take that into account so they don't plaster the site with too many ads. Because if you have free ads already and they don't see those as ads, they will just place 4 more ads, and it'll be too crowded with ads. But this is a great opportunity if you have some ads that are doing really well. You can just use the Ezoic to fill up all the empty ad spaces. And also, if you have a good routine, if you have a good process for selling ads yourself, you can probably sell those at a better price point. It's time consuming, but if you already have a good deal, by all means go with it. And then just wrap those banners so Ezoic knows not to put too many ads around them. It's a great option to just use Ezoic as a fallback, so every ad spot that you didn't sell or where you don't have any ads, just fill them with Ezoic ads to make sure that you're making money with every blog post and every single URL on your site. The next question is from Tom, and he asks, do you just tell the topic or the keyword of an article to your writers, or do you write an outline with a lot of bullet points to write about? That's a good question. With my writers, I spend a lot of time to train them well. I have training videos and I also have one-on-one session with them. And today my editor is doing that for me. So I'm training my editor and she's training my whole team of writers. So that's the first thing you need to do. And now that they have the proper training, you might think that they can write a perfect article out from just the headline. But I still provide most of the subheadings, and many times I'll also tell them specifically to create this table of content or place this in here or research on these URLs and stuff like that. I just do that to make sure that I get the best possible articles. It is time consuming, but I find that it's really worth it. And that's where I spend the majority of my time. I spend my time filming videos for you guys, and then I do the topic research for my articles across all my sites. I haven't outsourced that yet, and I'm not sure I ever will. But when you have been doing so for a long time, you can do it quickly. I've been writing outlines for more than 1,000 articles that went up across my sites over the last year. And now I think I spend between 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, if it's an article with a lot of competition. The next question is from John, and he asks, what approach do you use for hiring new writers? I used to use Upwork for hiring writers, and I've been hiring hundreds of people on Upwork for that, but I find the platform to be slow and also to be clunky. There's so many hoops and loops you need to jump to provide feedback and set up milestones and pay writers per milestone, and it's just too time consuming for me. And also, I think the biggest pain with Upwork is when you need to take out all those financial statements. You know, you paid $5 to this guy and $50 to this guy. I haven't found their interface to be really good when it comes to finding all those little pieces of paper for all those payments. I need to give those to my accountant for tax purposes, and that's just the worst. You know, I hated doing that. So now I work with all my writers directly. I also tried to hire people locally, but now I would advise you to use ProBlogger. If you want to work with people directly, as I'm doing, I would go for ProBlogger. It's a pretty cool site where you can put up a job offer and people will apply directly to you, and you don't work with them on ProBlogger. You can work with them inside your own systems and use whatever you want, and then they'll just send you an invoice every month. That's how I'm doing it. The next question is from StreamTelly. She asks, do you add categories into your site's sitemap.xml file? So if you don't know what the sitemap file is, it's just a little file that you place in Google Search Console in order for Google to know what articles and what URLs you have on your site, to make sure that everything gets indexed quickly. No, I don't do that. I just have one file that contains all the blog posts and the pages. But really, I don't think you need to think about this. Only in the beginning of the website. When the website is only a couple of months old and as you write those first 10 or 20 articles, you need to think about it. But you also need to submit those manually into Search Console if you want to make sure that Google finds them immediately. I have another video here where I'm showing you exactly how to do that. If you have a normal setup in WordPress, you know, you have a front page with a lot of links to all the blog posts, or at least you have a URL with the blog role, or you have a category with links to all the articles. Then you don't need to think about it because it's easy to Google to get to all your content from the front page or from the menu. But if you have articles sitting there like what we call orphan pages, pages that aren't being linked to from the front page or the menu or the footer or anything like that, then you need to put them into a sitemap. Other than that, you don't need to think about it. Let's say your website has a couple of thousand page views per month, then Google will easily find your site and they will index all the URLs from the menu. The next question is from Kernia. She asks, is there any benefit to rewriting an article? There definitely is. There's two cases where I will rewrite an article, or I should say I'll ask my writers to do a rewrite of an article. One is if the content is outdated, and two is if the article is not ranking. But here you need to be careful because maybe the article is only 3, 4 or 5 months old and you might be wondering why it's not getting any traffic. And the reason is that it just takes longer time in Google to rank. So you need to make sure that the article is at least 8 to 10 months old if it's a new website, and if you're working on an established website like my website Go Downsize, I can typically rank a new article within 3 to 4 months. So make sure that's not the case. If you see growing traffic, you shouldn't do anything. As soon as the traffic curve starts to flatten, or if it doesn't get any traffic at all, it's time to revisit that article and see if you're satisfied with the number of traffic it's getting. And be aware that if you're going to rewrite an article, it might die completely for a couple of months, and that doesn't mean that you killed it, it's just how Google works. So I have a link up here to a video where I'm showing you exactly what happened when I did a rewrite of an article. So it was doing all right, it was a really good point, and I knew that I had to rewrite it because it was only 1500 words on a pretty huge topic. So since it was doing so well, I wanted to see how far I could take it. So I took this URL from 1500 words to 5000 words, and it just died completely for a couple of months because now Google needs to figure out what happened and what's this new article about. And then after a couple of months, it spiked up to get 3 times the traffic. And it's my best article by far now. So check out that video to see more about that. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you want to get more videos like this. I have videos coming up every week. And leave your questions in the comments here because I'm going to do these videos regularly. Well, I'm going to answer your questions directly. So stay tuned for that and give this video a thumbs up. See you guys.